Today's video is actually a month in the making, and I have this new product that I firmly believe in. And actually, this is going to save lives. And this may look like just a regular old standard adapter to you, but what this actually is a breakaway device. So what does it do? What is it for? Why would you say it's going to save lives? Well, there's a lot to unpack in today's video, so make sure you stick around to the end, because not only am I going to tell you what this does, I'm going to show you. A few weeks ago out in California, I met with EVject. EVject is the maker of this adapter right here. And as you can see, it is NACS on both sides. So what kind of an adapter is it anyways? This adapter is made to break, and what it does is it allows you, when you're hooked up to a supercharger, to unhook and get out of Dodge without exiting the vehicle. You see, today, if you want to disconnect the supercharger, you need to get out of the vehicle and physically disconnect it. This allows you to do everything from inside the cabin, keep yourself safe and out of harm's way if you're in a bad situation. Now, listen, not everybody's going to have a use for this, and I totally get that, but that does not mean it's a useless product just because you don't have a use for it. I travel a lot, and on all of my road trips, I am constantly in cities I'm unfamiliar with, and many times it can be 2, 3, even 4 o'clock in the morning, and sometimes it's uncomfortable, especially at night, unfamiliar city, and that's where things like this are really nice to have. So no, I'm not always just in my own backyard. I'm generally across the entire country, and there's many ways to keep yourself safe, but this is just another tool that you can have in your toolbox to keep yourself safe. And it's not just for you as well, of course. If you have loved ones that use your Tesla as well, this is a nice little thing to have with you. This particular unit that you're looking at right here, you can probably see all the lines there. This is 3D printed. This is a prototype version of the final, and this I got while I was out at Tesla Takeover in California. I took this with me from California all the way back to Florida. I used it on 24 superchargers with 0 issues. And what was nice about that particular test was it was well over 100 degrees for most of that trip. So this thing was in extreme conditions, extreme temperatures, and it really gave this a good use of how well is this thing going to hold up? How good is the durability? And it held up really well. As a matter of fact, there's little to no signs of wear. There are some lines up here, but the unit itself is still firm. It still plugs in really nicely. All the actuation still works as you would expect. So that was a pretty good test on the use of this thing, durability, and how well it's going to hold up. Now, the production version of this is in the works right now. Actually, I think, if I'm not mistaken, October or November, they're going to start shipping the production versions out, and you can pre-order that today, and it's already in production. So that one is going to be injection molded with a high strength material that's going to be able to hold the high heat and temperature of supercharging. So 250 kilowatts is a lot of power, and it can also create a lot of heat, and this thing is made to hold up to that time and time again. The production version is coming very soon. You can pre-order that now on EVject's website. If you use code BTG25, you'll actually save 25%. So the pre-order is $199, so at 25% off, it would actually be $150 for you to get one of these in the production version here in Q4. Now, they also said the first 1,000 of these that they sell, they're actually going to be replacing them if you use it in an emergency. So there's a note on their website. If you use it in an emergency, if you send them the details, they'll actually replace the unit for you for free. So that's, I think, for only the first 1,000 people though. From a performance perspective, it does not slow down charging, and that's a really big important one. Given that I tested this thing in some of the highest temperatures of the year, it did not have an impact on how fast or slow the car was charging. In addition, the way that this thing brakes, so with it braking right here along this seam that you can see, that allows this thing to prevent damage to both your car and the supercharger. As a matter of fact, it doesn't take a lot of force for this thing to snap. And when it does snap, this half right here is going to be on the supercharger, and that is what is going to hit the ground. So the cable itself is not going to hit the ground. This is. And this half is what's going to be left in your vehicle, so you're able to get away and get to a safe place before you remove this from your charge port. And it's not going to electrocute you. It's actually kind of ingenious how this thing works. So how this thing works is, if you look in here, right here, you can see that lock come in, and your supercharging cable is actually going to plug into this side. Now, once this goes up, what's happening is in the car, the lock on the actual charge port is going to push this pin up, and then it holds this in place. And this is what is making the contactors connect right in here, this guy right here. So when it releases, it disconnects that connection, and the car thinks that the vehicle is unplugged. That's why you're allowed to go into drive. And to do that, you're just going to hit unlock charge port in the middle of a charging session. It'll stop charging, and this little guy is going to release just like that. You'll be able to put the car in drive and take off. If you're not using a device like this, as you probably know, you cannot put your vehicle in drive without unplugging that charge port. This allows you to do that, break this thing away, and then take off and get to a safe place. Another thing of note is they had been working on a CCS version of this, and I know they're still moving full speed ahead on the European version of that, and that is still in the works. Now, since NACS has really taken over and is becoming quickly the standard here in the United States, they're actually moving full speed ahead with this one, and they're working on a CCS to NACS adapter, just like what you've seen before, but it's going to give you a little bit more capability than what the traditional CCS adapter is for Teslas. So I'm very curious to see what that ends up looking like, but that'll allow you to plug into Electrify America, EVgo, any of the CCS fast chargers out there, which when I travel, I bring my adapter with me just in case I need it. And apparently theirs is going to be a little bit lighter, a little bit slimmer, and have that same functionality that this one right here does. So after talking to the CEO, Eric, and his team at Tesla Takeover, it was really cool to see how this thing was built and the passion behind building it. It's just another tool to keep you safe on road trips, or if you're using superchargers frequently, or if you're just traveling and you don't know the area as well. So I'm excited to have this, and I hope that EVject will send me a replacement once the production version is out, because we're gonna break this today. And enough of the chit chat, let's get into the good stuff, because this is what you really wanna see. Okay, so before we start using the EVject, I'm going to actually plug the car into the supercharger and show you why you can't get away. So I'll show you like kind of a before situation and then an after if you have this in. Plus, of course, I've got all my GoPros, so we will set up some GoPros to watch this thing break in half in the situation that you find yourself in where you need to escape. So first things first, let's go ahead and get this thing plugged in. What I like to do is I like to plug the adapter in first, and you'll have the switch down here on the bottom. Grab your supercharging cable, plug it in. This one is very hot, so it's probably not gonna max charge. That is very hot to the touch. So as you can see, nothing's happening, and nothing will happen until I actuate it, and that's with this guy down here. So once I squeeze that, now it's starting to recognize, hey, we are hooked up to a supercharger. All right, so there's the green light. So we're hooked up here, we're charging, and in this situation, I'm gonna do this twice because I'm gonna do it once without breaking it, just to show you, and then I'm gonna do it a different way. So by hitting the unlock charge port door, it now, see, everything disappeared. So if I put my foot on the brake, the car is actually started. I can put it into drive. I'm not gonna drive away yet, but just to show you. So that's how that works. Now, if we come out here, we can see charge port door is kind of open and the tab here is pushed down. So if actually we push it back up, it's going to start recognizing that it's charging again. So there you go. It starts charging again, no issue. So what I'm gonna do now though, I'm gonna unplug this, the whole thing, and then I'll show you also what happens if you're done charging, because you don't have to do anything special here. So let's get it charging first. All right. And then when you're done charging, just come out here, just like normal, disconnect. And then you can just remove the adapter from the supercharging cable, everything all a-okay. All right, so now you're hooked up, you need to get away, and you need to get away fast. What you're going to do is you're going to unlock, and then you're going to put the car in drive, and you're gonna get out of Dodge. You're going to unlock, and then you're going to put the car in drive and you're going to get out of Dodge. All right, so when you come out of the vehicle, here's what you're greeted with, just to give you an idea. So as you can see, this is what is hitting the ground first. And we have our supercharger here, thing broke in half beautifully. And this is just gonna come completely off. There's nothing to it. So it's not gonna electrocute anybody. This thing will not send power unless it's got a handshake with the vehicle. So we can put that back up. And then underneath the charge port, this is just gonna lay flat until you get away. And there's everything that's left. Sometimes the pins will all come out, sometimes they won't. I've seen it come out several ways, but I'm touching, I'm not being electrocuted, nothing's gonna happen here. But you can just, at that point, you can just pull this thing right out. Thing is out, and here's all the pieces. Dropped another pin. So this thing looks the same as it did before, no damage. And then inside the charge port, no signs of stress from that pulling out. So there you have it. Pretty cool stuff. Eric and his team at EVject, I think, did an amazing job designing this product, and I think that it's a pretty awesome product overall. So if you are indeed interested in one, make sure to go to EVject's website, code BTG25 to save 25% on your pre-order. And if you're interested to find out more about that road trip I just recently took from Florida to California, make sure you click this video right here. Can't wait to see you guys on the next one.